Well, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, so it's great to
Oh,
meet you.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, great to meet you too, man.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting into your story being the CEO of Smart Shark and everything that's kind of evolved into who you are today. So
Cool.
thank you for taking a minute out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just in full transparency, I do have a hard stop at 11:30.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's enough time for the show
yeah,
or
yeah. That's fine. We'll hop right
okay.
in. So yeah, we'll be good to go. Again, it's great
Okay,
to meet
cool.
you. Thanks for
Yeah,
taking a minute out. And I want to begin our conversation before we get into your work by
yeah.
asking 4 years ago, this pandemic was raging. We didn't know how we were going to get out of it. It made a real indelible impact on us all. How did you survive it and how did it change you?
Well, it's funny because the pandemic actually blessed me. So the best analogy I like to give is if you ever watch Forrest Gump, when him and Lieutenant Dan are out there in the sea and Dan's cursing at God and Forrest is just for holding on to the ship for the love of God and they make it through the night and then the next day, well, all the other ships got taken out and then now they're getting all the shrimp, right? That was kind of what happened to me when the pandemic hit because the year prior I had already started doing the work, building my online business as a side hustle, which I turned into a full-time job within that first year. But because we were already online and already like showing like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we can help. Which at the time I was helping personal trainers go like transition to online for their businesses. When that hit, that industry got absolutely crippled. So everyone had to pivot online, but nobody knew how. So I had a massive flood of business
Yeah,
come in from there because I had been showing up like, hey, you should go online. They're like,
yeah.
oh, whatever reason why they wouldn't, but the pandemic forced them to.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis as the
Yeah.
CEO. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Oh man, that's a fantastic. I've never been asked that question. That's a great question. Um, for I guess what I would say is that I'm a professional human wrangler.
Okay. I,
um, I basically manage, like, I just manage people.
yeah.
And outside of that, like, I'm basically the shepherd for everyone. And I'm just here to make sure that everyone in the flock knows their role within the flock and everyone's moving in the same direction. That can be from clients all the way up to executive leaders. That's pretty much what I do on a daily basis. Just
Okay.
changes how I do
Yeah, for
that.
sure. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Oh my God, another great question. I wanted to be a singer, and then I realized I can't sing very good, so I changed my life goals.
There you go. Well, talk to me a little bit about your childhood, where you were born and raised, and what were the seeds of being an entrepreneur and
Oh
being somebody
man.
that can help people get shuttled to the right place?
Yeah, so I was born in Lynchburg, Virginia, in a small podunk town. And in terms of like examples for entrepreneurship, there's a saying: you either become who you are because of your parents or in spite of your parents. All respect to my parents, I became who I am in spite. Both my parents are accountants who were
Okay.
like, go to college. Like it was follow the system, go to
Yeah.
college, nice paying job, work your way up the ladder. You're in 60s or 70s, you can retire. Like that was the game plan that was given to me. And after watching my parents like live their life the way that they were, and me just looking from the outside, it just never made sense to me. I'm like, why work my whole life doing something I don't even really like to do? And also, I hate being told what to do. So that was also an indicator that I probably wouldn't be the best employee
Yeah.
at the end of the day, which I wasn't when I was one. But those were really kind of the two things that kind of like were signs, I guess,
Yeah.
that kind of pushed me in the direction I'm moving. But fortunately, I did have an older brother that was an entrepreneur, and he became one because he had to.
Yeah.
So this was like way before being an entrepreneur was cool. Like now it's cool. He
Yeah.
was an entrepreneur way before it was cool. It was like you got to look down upon. It's like, oh, you can't get a job. Like that's when he became an entrepreneur. So being able to watch him and just realize that that's always an option, that was something that I'm really grateful for because I don't know if I'd be where I'm at today if I didn't have at least one example
Yeah.
of someone doing that in my life. Because, like as I was sharing with you, my parents were very much like, go to school and you go here. There's nothing wrong with that. It
Sure.
just was wrong for me.
Yeah. So that's a perfect place for me to lead into this next question, which is who's been that hero? Who's been that inspiration for you?
Yeah, so dude, like the hero for me, man, is dude, I'm gonna give it to Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's been the one source that has never let me down. That's been there the whole time. And it's crazy. I've had my ebbs and flows of my relationship with Jesus and my faith and how strong that's been over the years. But there's just something about when you bet on yourself and when you become an entrepreneur, like you can point all the fingers you want, but it won't change anything.
Yeah.
So you have to really start developing and really getting to know who you are. And then at the end of the day, as I've learned through this ride, is we all bend the knee to someone or something,
Yeah.
but we have to choose what that is. And for me, if I'm going to bend the knee to anything, I want to be God. I don't want to bend the knee to this guru or this person that I think is going to open up the floodgates for my life. Because at the end of the day, people are people. And ever since I put my source up back on God versus other people or the economy or the president or any of that stuff, I've noticed that my peace has never been better and business is flowing better than ever because I'm focusing on the right things. Now that's just my life and
Sure.
my story. I'm not here to preach the gospel to your
Sure.
audience or anything like that, but that's my hero that I look up to.
I dig it. So in the realm of business, if you can meet anybody out there that you find fascinating that you might benefit from, spend some time with them, who would that be?
Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason for Ryan Reynolds, man, is like I am just absolute fanboy for his marketing.
Yeah.
Like I just love how he markets and just his brand and how he shows up. Like it's a lot of where I draw my inspiration from and what we do. So yeah, I would love to hang out with Ryan Reynolds and listen to his story of how he went from this no-name Hollywood actor to like this owning billion-dollar companies.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be cool. So let me ask you this. Obviously, he has a lot of motivation with what he does. What is that for you? What gets you up every day to be kind of this shepherd of people and to evolve as a human being yourself? What is that motivation for you?
I have a 21-month-old tiny human that looks at me every single morning and says, "Dad, Dad." That's my single driver. So that's the main driver. And once again, dude, the other thing about like we get to publish books, like I can't think of anything cooler that I could do. And I've done a lot of things over this whole entrepreneur route. Some things we've done great, some things we've done very terrible at, some things we've done that I've liked, some things we've done that I've hated over the years. But with the book publishing, like I truly believe that this was designed for me and my wife to do this business together with how we just came about to falling into this because we didn't set out to become a publishing company. We just kind of tripped into becoming one, just through, life and everything connecting the way that it did. So there's a little bit of, I feel, destiny with this. So I feel obligated that I need to show up every day and put my part in there because I think this is bigger than just me.
Yeah. So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That took me a long time to get, very long time. But once I got it, it's life changing.
So let's say you run into the 18-year-old version of you in a dream tonight. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained along the way. What advice would you give your younger self?
Stop. I'm going to cuss, by the way, because this
You're
is
fine.
how younger Jonathan would accept this advice. I tell him, stop fucking drinking.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
ruining your life. And
Yeah.
you need to go ahead and don't go to college. Go ahead and start going towards this vision of your business and your dream, what you're doing. That's my biggest regret was like, don't get me wrong, I love college, great experience, learned a lot. Pretty sure there's some things that formed in who I am, which don't want to change that. But if I logically looking at it, like it would have made way more sense for me just to start my career 4 years sooner
Yeah.
than to spend 4 years basically paying for an experience
Yeah.
that I had at the end of the day.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned singing and you obviously like music. What
Yeah.
was the first really good concert you saw in your life that was like
Oh
mind-blowing?
man. Damn, that's a good question. Trying to think. I haven't really seen too many good concerts, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about the bad ones right now. I
What's a
will
bad
say
one?
that. Oh man, I saw what's his name? The dude that did, and this is way back in the day. The dude that did Back That Ass Up. I can't
Oh,
remember his name,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like that was my generation.
yeah.
Anyway, I went to his concert. He showed up 3.5 hours late, and he was fucking shit faced, slurring. I was so pissed. Also, Rick Ross is bull crap too.
Yeah.
He came to a private event when I was with Apex executives. He showed up at midnight, sang for 15 minutes and just left. I was so pissed, man. Cause I was 38. I
Yeah.
stayed up to midnight, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not 21 anymore.
Uh-huh.
Like, 38. I was hurt the next day. So I was like, come on, Rick Ross. I'm such a fan. That's how you're going to do it. But I will
Yeah.
say this. Pentatonics is a great in-person concert. The acapella group. I
I
took my
saw them
wife,
with my I saw them with my stepdaughter. Yeah, man,
dude.
they are crazy good.
Yeah, like my I took my wife there right before we had our daughter. It was during Christmas and it was during the COVID stuff. I remember because they made me jab so I could go in the damn concert. I was so pissed about having to do that, but I was like, all right, we're gonna do the concert.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we go in there and we were watching them, and dude, they were just fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's cool. They're actually from Texas.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, my stepdaughter was really into them. It was pretty cool. So, of all of these things that you've done with your life and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
I am proudest of the curses that I've gotten rid of in
Yeah.
my life. So one of those curses is alcoholism. I hired a sober coach 5 years ago. I haven't had a touch of alcohol since then, and that was inspired due to that runs in my family line. And me and my wife were talking about building a family and having a kid. And for me, that's really intentional. And why I waited so long. Cause I'm 39, man. Like not spring chicken, with
Yeah.
having our first kid. But something that was really important to me was I didn't want to pass along the trauma and the baggage that runs rampant through my family bloodline. Now, once again, there's a lot of great things in my family that I was given, and I'm happy to talk about. But as we're talking about like the things that like I wanted to make sure that weren't passed down, like alcoholism was one of them, scarcity mindset, that's another one. So I guess what I'm most proud of is me doing the work to get rid of those things so that my daughter doesn't have to suffer from those things through her life.
Good for you. Yeah, I remember when I had my son in '04, I stopped smoking. I was like, I got to give that gift to him because I remember how my dad anguished that all of his kids smoked. And it's like, that's all we saw him do his whole life. You know what I'm saying? It's that
Mhm.
whole do as I say, not as I do. I mean, if you do it, there's just an inevitability that it's going to get passed down, you know?
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. Like, once again, like no fault to my family. Like they're doing the best they can, but drinking, I smoked cigarettes for a long time, and then I quit that way a long time ago. But those are some tough things, man, that they got their fangs in me deep, man, and they took years off of me. And I'm grateful that I was able to get out of it. And I'm grateful that I had a wife that was willing to be patient enough during that season with me to not throw me on the curb
Yeah.
and stick
Yeah.
it out with me. And now she's reaping the benefit of that investment. So I think she's happy with the ROI she got
Yeah.
from that bet.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, um, clients, colleagues, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
So you're hitting so many like personal, like tough questions. How do I? So is the question how do I think other people see me, or how do I see me?
Well, everyone has this idea of you. I mean, there's all these perceptions based on the role you play in their lives. But ultimately, you're the driver of your whole existence. So what do you think? Who do you think you are? This is the therapy hour.
Yeah, dude. Like, should have booked this one for later in the afternoon. My brain was fully
Right.
operating. Dude, I don't know. Like, I don't really think about that. Because the truth is, like, I don't like the spotlight. Like, I
Right.
hate it. But I realize there's certain things that require me to step into the spotlight, or otherwise, no one's going to hear the message that I have to say. So, I don't really think that way. But I guess in terms of like how I want to be remembered, like there's a title I gave myself in my family called the Chief Wee Officer. And it's basically making my daughter go wee, like making her laugh,
Yeah.
right? So for me, like everything I try to do, and which is why I focus so hard on myself, is I want to leave people better than how I found them.
Yeah.
So part of that starts with every conversation. So when I'm done speaking with you, are you feeling on a higher note or are you feeling on a lower note? So for me, I want to aspire to every conversation I have. I'm leaving people better.
Yeah.
I'm leaving them here, and whatever we're talking about, it'd be business, it'd be personal life, whatever it is. And I guess for me, like I've always wanted to be a high value person in relationships. So I work really hard to bring value to the relationships I do have because I don't go wide. So if I bring you into my circle and call you friend, that actually means something to me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't do that with a whole lot of people. So
Absolutely. No, I dig it. So if anyone wants to delve into your world more, they want to reach out, any of the good business, Smart
yeah.
Shark, where do they go?
Yeah, so I live on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Jonathan Lautermilch. Our main website, obviously, to check out what we do. All of our services is thesmartshark.com. And then I have my own podcast, Real Talk with Real Business Pros, how to win in business and in life. You obviously can come check that out where we talk about this stuff and a lot more a couple times a week.
All right. I dig it, man. This has been great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Keep on smiling, man.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Take care.